It was an ordinary September morning in 1982. People of all walks of life started their day as usual. Coffee brewing, kids packing school lunches, and people preparing for another workday. The air was crisp in the suburbs of Chicago, and the streets bustled with the typical rush hour traffic. Among the many commuters was a mother, Barbara, a loving wife and a nurse. She had just dropped her children off at school and was now preparing for her shift at the local hospital. As she waited for the bus, she felt a headache coming on, the kind she had grown accustomed to. A long shift ahead and she needed relief. Reaching into her purse, she pulled out a bottle of Tylenol, a trusted name, and popped a few pills to ease the throbbing pain. Meanwhile, her son Adam was in school, looking forward to an afternoon playing with his friends after classes. They had no idea that their lives were about to be torn apart by a tragedy that would shock the world. Back at home, Barbara's headache was intensifying. She started to feel nausea and dizziness, but didn't think much of it. Exhaustion from work was probably the culprit. She lay down hoping a nap would make it better. But her symptoms quickly worsened, and soon her husband Mark rushed her to the hospital, fearing something far worse than a headache. Hours later, as Barbara's condition deteriorated, the doctors were baffled. She wasn't responding to treatment. Her vital signs plummeted, and just before midnight, Barbara died. Her family was devastated, her death unexplained and swift. Mark couldn't believe his eyes as the doctors tried in vain to save his wife. What had caused this sudden collapse? The very same day, 12-year-old Adam complained of stomach cramps and a headache after school. His mother's sudden death haunted his thoughts, but he kept it together, thinking maybe he was just stressed or tired. His father, Mark, remembered the Tylenol Barbara had taken and the other bottles they had in the house. With a sinking feeling, he picked up another bottle from their medicine cabinet, one that had been opened just days earlier. Mark called the local pharmacy. There had been no recall, no warnings. But as he spoke to the pharmacist, he felt a cold chill run down his spine. Could it be? Could this innocuous bottle of Tylenol be the reason his wife was dead? Days passed, but the tragedies didn't stop. On September 29th, another victim, Mary Kellerman, was found dead after taking Tylenol for a simple cold. She was just 12 years old. Then, within a matter of hours, more bodies were discovered. A man named Adam, a woman named Mary, and even more cases began popping up around the Chicago area. All had taken Tylenol in some form. It became a nightmare no one could escape. The authorities quickly realized the connection. Someone was lacing the Tylenol capsules with cyanide, and they were doing it without anyone noticing. Tylenol was a trusted brand, widely used, and no one suspected the poison hidden in the very medication that thousands of people took every day. Detective Lisa Wright was called in to investigate. A seasoned investigator, Lisa had seen a lot of tragic cases, but this was different. The calculated and sinister nature of the crime sent shockwaves through her. As she delved deeper, she discovered something terrifying. The tampered bottles weren't limited to just one store or even one city. They had spread across multiple locations, making the case incredibly difficult to trace. The realization hit Lisa like a brick. Whoever was behind this was intentionally poisoning random, innocent victims. The killer wasn't just targeting one individual, he or she was out for chaos. The public's trust in medications like Tylenol was shattered, and the fear that gripped the nation was palpable. Then, a twist no one saw coming. The killer was never caught. The case became a cold one. Investigators had no leads. The Tylenol bottles with cyanide continued to be discovered, but the person responsible had vanished. Was it a disgruntled employee at the manufacturing plant? A lone madman? Was it a larger conspiracy? Months turned into years. Tylenol's parent company, Johnson & Johnson, responded by pulling millions of bottles off the shelves, changing packaging, and making safety measures a priority. But despite the efforts, the killer had disappeared and the terror remained. As time passed, Mark and Adam struggled with their grief. Mark had become an advocate for medication safety, speaking at public forums, and Adam found solace in becoming a journalist, often writing about the lingering impact of the Tylenol murders. He'd learned to live with the haunting memories of that day, his mother's sudden death, and the terror that had followed. But even as the years passed, the haunting question remained: Who was the person responsible for one of the most notorious mass poisonings in history? In 1983, the case was closed, but Detective Lisa Wright still couldn't shake the feeling that they had missed something. The identity of the Tylenol killer remained a mystery to this day. Through the years have gone by, the chilling memory of the Tylenol murders remains in the minds of those who lived through the tragedy. The case has been reopened several times with no new developments. The killer, if they are still out there, has never been found. For Mark and Adam, the pain of losing Barbara and the never-ending questions about the motives behind the poison will never be fully answered. It remains a terrifying reminder that sometimes danger comes in the most unexpected of places. Like and subscribe for more true crime stories.